Hello, today we are talking about some transversals, but this time very specifically transversals of parallel lines. I made another video about transversals in general, but today it is when very specifically they are parallel lines that you have written down and a transversal passing through them. In which case, what happens is something very, very, very special. And if you're planning on taking a geometry test at the end of the year because your state requires it, then this is something that tends to be on it a lot. And basically what happens in parallel lines, I'm going to zoom in a lot, boom, boom. Let's extend this a little bit. Basically what happens is that if you have an angle given to you, then from a lesson before, like ignoring this one, we would already know that this angle has to be the same. Those are called vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. And when you have a transversal on parallel lines, what you get to do is take this and copy paste it onto the other figure as well, like so. And those angles are also going to be congruent. So all four of these things are the same. The top left, the bottom right, the top left, the bottom right. Those will all be the same, and when it comes to shapes, the word for same is congruent. So if we were to look over here, it is now saying each pair of corresponding angles. So if you forgot what corresponding means, it means they're in the same place. So as I said before, this one up here, the top left, like if I'm looking at this point, the top left right here is going to be the same thing as down here's top left. In both of these cases, I have that little mark right there to show that they're congruent. So corresponding angles will be congruent. Alternate interior. So, here are the two lines. So my interior is here between the two lines. And it's saying the alternate ones. Well, as you can see, I also marked the alternate angles, the one on the right and the one on the left. This is the one on the right and the one on the left. So alternate interior angles are also congruent. Anything that I marked here is congruent to each other, and the ones that are not marked are congruent to each other as well. Or if you're color-coded like me, this thing right here is the same thing as this thing right here, is the same thing as this thing right here, is the same thing as this thing right there. So everything that's orange is going to be congruent. And it works the other way if you want as well. All the ones that I'm doing in pink are also congruent. So let's just keep going. Alternate exterior. Let's take a look. So this time we're talking about the exterior, so outside of the line. So let's just go ahead and ignore that, I guess. And it says alternating. So if you look at the alternating, one on the left and one on the right, this is orange on the left and then orange on the right, or pink on the left and then pink on the right. Alternate, if you're looking at alternate ones, those are also the same color, so they would be the same measure, meaning they are also congruent. And then finally, consecutive interior is something different. Because if you are on the same side, that's what consecutive is, same side. Interior, if you look between the lines and the same side, you have an orange and pink, or the same side, the orange and pink. So this time they are not the same. And when that happens, they are going to be supplementary. Also known as add to 180. degrees. Sorry, there you go. How do we know this? Well, there's somewhat of an easy way. I told you that all the pink ones are the same and all the orange ones are the same. So then I would just say, what is pink plus orange? And well, how about I just put my finger like this? How much is pink plus orange? Well, pink and orange together make a line. So if pink and orange make a line, that has to be 180 degrees. Past that, it doesn't matter where the pink is, right? If the pink is here and the orange is here, remember, they're all the same. So pink plus orange is still going to be 180. So maybe I'll put that down. Pink plus orange equals 180. So they're supplementary. Because up here you would call them a linear pair, right? A linear pair is 180 degrees. So any of these pinks plus any of these oranges are going to be 180. Personally, I'm a very visual person. When I do this thing, like I forget about the whole angle, like this angle is the same as that angle is that one, and the other one's this one, this one. Honestly, when it comes to parallel lines, it is very likely they are going to be drawn to scale. Why is that important? Because when I look at it, I can just look at it and say, hey, I have an acute angle, and in this case I made that orange, and then I have obtuse angles, which all of them were pink. And if you use this, then you can just say any angle that looks acute is acute and it's the same number. And anything that looks obtuse is obtuse and is the exact same number. So like if I see this acute angle and somehow, some way I know it's 30, then that's 30, this is 30, this is 30, and that's 30. And at the same time, I know the pink is not 30 because it's obtuse. It can't be the same because they don't look the same. But all of the orange things look like acute angles. And all of the pink ones look like obtuse angles. So you can kind of eyeball it if you're a visual person. If not, what else? Vertical angles are congruent. That is something we learned before. That's when you have an X. Vertical angles are congruent. And a linear pair is always supplementary as well. Supplementary, which once again means add to 180 degrees. Okay. So here is one method you could use. What I'm going to do is use my highlighters, because that's what I do. And I'm just going to mark X's. This X with this X. And just do the same thing again over here. These numbers with these numbers. Like so. And everything that's orange is equal, and everything that is yellow is equal. So you can just draw an X with two different colors if you like color coding things, and just say all of them are now the same. Angle 1 was orange. So it says the measure of angle 1 is orange. So if angle 1 is orange, so is 3, 5, and 7. So automatically I know 3, 5, and 7 have to be the exact same as angle 1, which was 65. So then how do you find the other one? Well, that's the whole supplementary. Together, it's supposed to be 180. So if one of them is 65, what do you need to get 180? Or, you know, if the whole thing is 180 and part of it's 65, then what's left for it to be? And the way you get that is through subtraction. Just do 180 minus 65 to get 115 degrees. If that doesn't make sense to you, you can set up an equation. Supplementary means you have two things adding together to 180. That is supplementary. Since one of them was 65 and the other we don't know, we're just calling it x, then the way you solve is to subtract 65. And sure enough, you end up with that 180 minus 65 that I was talking about up there. And you end up with 115 degrees. Meaning everything that was yellow is 115 degrees. So I would just go 115, 115, 115, 115. Because all of them were yellow. Pew, 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 pew. Like so. Okay. What I recommend you guys do is try to do this. I'm going to come back and do this in a second, but since these parts are similar, I want you to like pause and see if you can do it. And we're back. So in this one, we got 1 and 10, 2 and 11, 3 and 12 all being the same. And then 4, 7, 5, 8, 9, 6, all being the same. It looks like angle 5 was an orange one. So 4, 7, 5, 8, 6, 9, and that's it. Okay. So all of those will be the same. And it turns out, it already told us that 82, so all of these will be 82 degrees. And then to find the other one, just like before, we're going to take 180 and subtract that 82. And that's 98 degrees. Which is a throwback to anyone who knows 90s music. So 98 degrees is going to be all of the yellows. So 98 degrees, 98 degrees, 98 degrees. So hopefully that's what you got, because you paused the video to try it yourself like I asked, right? Woohoo. That's all of it. All right, as promised, I'm going to go back and talk about this because it did say in the direction, find all the measures of the angles. Ta-da, we did that. Give a reason, though. The reason is going to be what you need to do for this vocab right here. So it gave us angle 1. So for the most part, I'm going to use angle 1 and just say what is each of these angles compared to angle 1. For instance, angle 2. If you look at angles 1 and angles 2, those are a linear pair. So I'm going to write down linear pair. And the thing about linear pairs is they are supplemental or supplementary. So I will write linear pairs are supplemental. With angle 3, right there, what type of angles are those? I recommend pausing after every question I ask, see if you know the answer, and then unpausing. So 1 and 3, what are those types called? And they are vertical angles. And vertical angles are congruent. 1 and 4. If you look at 1 and 4, what is that angle pair called? Answer, linear pairs again. And linear pairs are supplemental. Angle 5, so 1 and 5. This time we do have to use both lines. So if this is 1 and this is 5, what are those two angles called? 1 and 5 are corresponding. And as you can see, they're both orange, they're both acute angles, so those have to be congruent. If they're the same, they are congruent. One and six. 1 and 6 doesn't have a name. One's interior, the other's exterior, but they're not corresponding. They're not same side, anything like that. It's no real connection you have between 1 and 6. You're going to have to just use 6 and some other number we've used. Like we already found 5. So I would probably just say 6 is a linear pair with 5. Linear pair with angle 5. And that's enough to say, well, okay, angle 5 was 65, so 6 has to be 115. 7, 7 you could say it's vertical with 5. You could say it's a linear pair with 6. Both of those would let you get this, but I'm going to stay on the theme of comparing it to angle 1. In angle 1, these are exterior and there are opposite sides, so alternate exterior. And as you can see, they are congruent. And finally, in number 8, these would be considered same side exterior, but as you can see, same side or consecutive exterior is not actually a thing. They have consecutive interior or not exterior. But as you can also see from my figure, the 1 and 8, they're not the same color. So they're not congruent. They would have to be supplemental. And I could probably, I'm just going to say like they're vertical with 6. Or, no. It's, you could say it's vertical with 6, so they're congruent. I'm going to say it's supplemental with 7. Why not? It's a linear pair. So there's different answers you can get for these, but what matters is that you make sense of it and you can use the vocabulary. Okay. So I'll zoom out for a second if you need to see it and pause it. Okay. To the last 2 problems, there's a little bit of algebra involved, but it's still the whole, are they the same or do they add to 180 thing? So like here, if I do this and this compared to this and this, you can see that all of my orange things are blank. There's nothing going on there. Everything that was labeled was yellow, or if you prefer, is this an acute angle or is this an obtuse angle? This is an acute angle. Over here, is this an acute angle or is it an obtuse angle? And it is an acute angle. So both of these are acute angles, which means they are equal to each other. So you get 11x minus 3 is equal to 4x plus 39. Because they're the same. And then you do some algebra. So we'll subtract 4x from both sides because it's on the opposite side of an equal sign. You get 7x minus 3, and pause is necessary. I'm not going to slow down. You get 39. Add 3 to both sides. You get 42. You get 7x. You divide by 7, and you get x equals 6. Okay. For the next one, same thing. If you want to just do the acute obtuse thing, ignoring all this, is that an acute angle or an obtuse? And then is this one an acute angle or is it obtuse? And this time you had an acute angle up here, but an obtuse here, so they were not the same. So you're not going to set them equal to each other. Or, if you're doing the thingy, these would be the same and these would be the same. These would be the same, and these would be the same. So as you can see, yellow does not make orange. They are not the same. So you're gonna have to do the thing where they equal 180. Because remember, those are the only choices. The only choices are they are equal to each other or they add to 180. Nothing else is possible here. So in this case, we got 7x minus 15 and 24x plus 9. And like I said, if you want to pause at each step, you can, but I'm not going to slow down for showing the work for the algebra. 7x plus 24, since they're on the same side, you combine like terms. Sorry about that. And there we go. You get 6 again, coincidentally. And there's that. There's that last beat. So hopefully that helps. If not, feel free to ask questions in real life or to watch the video again, making pauses and rewinding as necessary. Anyways, have a good one. Till next time.